I vow to suck your blood. I am Klaus Schwab. All right, I'm done with that. It's all you.
That is amazing. I love that. Those are incredible. Hey guys, welcome. Look, we are back, and every Valkyrie needs an axe, as you can see. How are you guys doing? I've got something to show you guys before we bring in the chat and we will say hi. But before we do, let me show you this that we have received from Jacob Ironside. How incredible
awesome.
is this?
Thank you, Jacob. This stuff is awesome. Yeah, you sent this earlier in the week, and I was like, this is freaking amazing. Like, if I put my logo and Purple Valkyrie's logo on this, dude, it would be an awesome coffee cup. Thank you very much, Jacob. Thank you.
It's fantastic, and I absolutely love it. So thank you, Jacob. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's
Hey.
let's for a moment, chat. Somebody, and I'm not going to name names, but it might be Purple Valkyrie, followed up on her promise. And I think she looks smashing. I really do. Just look at this. That is a hell of a great looking Halloween costume, Purple. Thank you.
Thank you. And a big thank you to Silverlock, wasn't it, if I remember correctly, who came up with the ideas. So thank you, and thank you guys.
And Daniel and others, thank you so much for your generous super chats last week. If you'd like, I can just sit here and be quiet, and everyone can just look at Purple Valkyrie for the next 45 minutes. That's okay. We can do that. I mean, look at that. She has an axe. She's got the Valkyrie markings, and then you got my dumb, glow in the dark plastic teeth wearing loser ass over here. But it is what it is. So. Purple Valkyrie, thank you so much for dressing
You're
up
welcome.
today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll put that down there.
So, happy Halloween. This will be I believe, the last show before Halloween, and it has been a very interesting, spooktacular month. A lot of channels have done a lot of content about horror movies, sometimes the same movie about 20 times. But, there were some standouts. There really were. Nerdpoil has been killing it. Zax has been killing it. I have seen Roman of the Empire do some fantastic work. Of course, our very own Jacob Ironside, people in chat. It's great to see other content creators that are up and coming starting to spread their wings, share their voice, and sink their teeth into something like Halloween. Purple, you have been covering Cabinet of Curiosities by somebody's last name is Del Toro. I'm not going to say his first name. And I believe you've seen all the episodes. You're going to be releasing your final review as a standalone episode, but out of 10, what do you give the series so far? Would you recommend it?
I would absolutely recommend it. Out of 8 episodes, I would say 6 were fantastic. So that's pretty good odds. Some are better than others. Daniel was talking about one in the chat earlier that he's just seen, which was the Pikmin model, which was based on one of Lovecraft's short stories, and one that I really enjoyed as well. So it's great to see that people are liking this, and I'm really happy that they decided to do a horror anthology.
Yeah. Yeah, and hail to everybody who's in chat, all of my channel members. Hail to Jacob and Zax and Daniel and Sagrian and Darius Munchausen, and with us, Mr. Batsu. It's great to see everybody. William 101, longtime channel supporter. You guys are freaking awesome. Lord Thoth. I think I've got everybody. And of course, the one and only Gray. He did a great show last night. We talked about the Twilight Zone for about an hour, and it was a really lively conversation. And once again, it proved we are not an echo chamber. So what I find interesting is some footage that Purple Valkyrie showed me right before this live stream. She's like, should we show people this? And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Camilla Harris in the woods on the campaign trail. But we want to let you all decide, because again, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm asking you to think and tell me what you think. So Purple Valkyrie, should we go ahead and roll that stunning footage purported to be Bigfoot? You want to take that one?
Yes, indeed. Right. Shall we? Yes. Would you like to leave the sound on for this one as well?
Your call. Your clip, your call.
We'll leave it on. We'll see what they say. Okay, so just a little bit of backstory. This is recent. Has been taken by a guy in his backyard. It was shot in Tennessee. I believe he put this up on Facebook. So let's see what you think, guys. The clip's about 30 odd seconds long.
I just seen something over in the woods, Chris, and I don't know if you can see this or not. He just
I just
want to know where Joe Biden is. That's all I want to know. I mean, I see. Never mind. Let's roll the clip. Roll the clip.
Do you see that? Do you see that? I'm afraid.
I like the way it just kind of just shuffles across.
Oh my God.
The one thing I will give them, if it is somebody in a suit, the bend in the arm was very authentic. Because usually if you've got a suit, the bend will come down kind of about here. Because obviously the suit's a lot longer than the person's arm, but the elbow actually bends what it should do, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God.
And it just kind of sways back and forth and just...
Oh my God.
Just kind of looks at them,
that?
and that's pretty much it. It cuts back, and he says to whoever it is next to him, "What do you think of that?" And that's pretty much it. So it's like a very short thing, but I thought it was pretty funny.
So out of the gate, I had two questions. The first one was there a dog with this man in the video, or just a small child?
Just whoever's sitting next to him, so it's either his friend or his brother or his son. There is a dog barking in the background, but it sounds a long way off.
Second of all, what are the odds that this guy living in Tennessee is not armed, and especially with his small child, seeing Bigfoot? So my brother lives in Eastern Tennessee. I've spent a fair amount of time in Tennessee. Now I know Tennessee has become infested by Yankees, as they say, but I don't know. I don't think that this is a legitimate sighting. I don't. I kind of get the feeling somebody was walking around. Somebody went to what the hell is that?
Spirit Halloween.
Spirit Halloween, and decided to go dicking around in the woods. And that's fine. It's funny, but I'm pretty sure it's not Bigfoot. I mean, to be honest, I still think it's Kamala Harris lost. And that's a typical crowd that she gets these days at the midterm elections. But
yes. What's the over and under on the poll that you've put up so far? Does the chat agree?
Oh my God, I have to do work on my own show. Hold on one second. I'll find it. You're so bossy. So we have 11 votes. Winning with 64%. Camilla is working a midterms crowd. I love you, chat. Then in second place is with 27%, totally some dude in a suit. And then trailing significantly with 9% is could be Bigfoot. So yeah, that's I have a lot of respect for the crowd, you guys, or the chat. I see that every week. I'm just going to say that. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's important. We have to look at some of this stuff. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not funny, sometimes it's annoying. But yeah,
I'll put that in the maybe but not likely pile.
I'm going to put that in the no, that's Kamala Harris pile. You had some other stuff you wanted to talk about. Do you want to run with that to begin with, or what would you like to do, Purple?
Yeah, I mean, I can pull it up. Let me grab. So the next one that I was going to talk about, because I thought it was pretty cool. There we go. So bear in mind, this is probably going to come up with a lot of ads because it's the New York Post. But we have a brand new documentary coming out that people have been really excited for. Now, this pertains to a crash landing in Brazil that, as it says, happened in 1996, and this is considered Brazil's Roswell. This is so it's so famous. So this documentary is called Moment of Contact. The trailer's just been released, and there's been a lot of hype for this, and it's kind of refreshed people's memories, and people kind of forgot that this was a thing. And it wasn't just that people saw UFOs or a crashed ship. They actually saw alien life forms as well. So very much like Roswell.
Indeed, and I didn't know about this. I want to watch this movie. You and I, we do research on this. I think we unacknowledged that was the movie we recommended last week. Again, please, if you're looking for something to watch this weekend, and I wish I got like commissions from all the recommendations we make, but we don't. Unacknowledged is an absolutely fantastic, eye-opening movie. So.
It is, and this one looks really interesting as well. I won't play the trailer just in case we get hit, but Moment of Contact, guys, and it just kind of just gives a little bit of information about what it's seen, and it talks about the two sisters that actually came across this, as it's a tiny, frightened alien with big red eyes, crouched against a wall, and it talks about the how they kind of had first contact, I guess, with this thing that they claimed.
This is interesting. And Purple Valkyrie, is this movie in theaters? Is it going on streaming? How can people see this thing? Does it say that? Because, it's streaming on Amazon and Apple TV Plus. Okay, I am going to watch that tonight while I'm busy doing stuff in my garage, which no, don't. We all know what I could be doing in my garage that maybe somebody should do, but I'm not. I'm just doing other things.
Building a UFO, exactly.
Yeah, I haven't come in contact from anything from an Arctic outpost. I am not building my own small mini Millennium Falcon to return home.
And this was the thing that they described. So yeah. It said it looked scared and appeared to be suffering from the heat. Well, yes.
There's a lot of that going around.
Kind of feel for it, but I do remember this story, and I remember it happening, and just kind of reading through this article, it's kind of jogged my memory, and especially the way they described this alien. It wasn't frightening. They were just incredibly sorry for this creature that got taken away by the military, of course.
Yeah. I'm going to have to do more research. Chat, what do you guys know about this? Purple Valkyrie, I didn't know anything about this until you brought it up. So whenever there's an event like that, that's kind of like, not that the whole world revolves around Salty. I get that. But it's interesting that this is something that I haven't really encountered in other research and listening to things from Missing 411, from looking at other woo-woo shows that are out there. I am fascinated by this. Now, we all know South and Central America, as well as Mexico, there's a hell of a lot of things that have been going on around there, especially over Mexico City with strange light formations and the southwest of the United States for a long time. I know we want to only look at things through the lens of the last 10 years, but this stuff has been going on. You can go back to Roswell, but even before that, with sightings of things that have been occurring. So I don't know, chat. What do you guys think about it? Tell us in the comments section. And I need to call out, we have a troll in chat. It's Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House, and he says he thought it was Salty in the Bigfoot costume. I'm going to gift you a Dawkins album just because you said that. Great. Look at all the beautiful people. We got Leia Rose, Paul Bustle, Papa Cotton 6, Soul Assassin, Snow Dub. You guys are freaking awesome. Thanks for being here today.
Great show.
Yeah, we would love to get some of your feedback on some of these things. Look at, we've got a new name in chat, unless I'm getting early advanced Alzheimer's. It's John Platt says, this is a new story to me. I've never heard of it before. I know. That's what I'm saying.
Let me give a little bit of background then. So it happened in 1996, and it took place in Bahia, which is a city just outside of in Brazil, where many locals claim to have seen two small creatures. They were then captured by the Brazilian military, and this is something that, as I said, it's considered Brazil's version of Roswell, because so many people, not only did they see the lights in the sky and they saw the crashed ship and the kind of fallout from what happened, but quite a few people actually saw or claim to have seen these creatures. So that's what makes it so famous.
I didn't know about this. I really didn't know about this, and I am going to watch this tonight. I mean, has Oh God, chat's hopping, and we loved. Has John Platt? I didn't know about it either, and I didn't know. Daniel, have you heard about this snow dub? I mean, you guys in chat that are super woo woo, did you know about that? I don't know, but you know who knows about Dawkins? It's Darius Munch. That's why we're friends, Gray. That's
There
why
you go.
Darius is my friend, and you're just an annoying English limey in Japan who I appear on his shows. But yeah, let's make this big.
Gotta watch
Let's
it as
go ahead
well.
and make this big. Oh, look at that. Purple Valkyrie looks awesome. Here we go. But yeah, Moment of Contact on Amazon now, and I'd say it's on Apple TV, but who the hell has Apple TV? So
I don't even think we have Apple TV over here, so yes. Anyone in the UK,
well,
try Amazon.
It won't matter when they turn off all your goddamn power with the internet because of
This is
Russia,
true.
you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
this is
oh my
true.
God.
When we have rolling blackouts, yeah.
Sagrian says, my membership ended when I quit PayPal. I can't find a reputable payment site yet. So I'm going through the same problem. I quit PayPal weeks ago. And Purple, do you want to talk about that thing or no? Still no?
Still no, but let's just say we're going through the exact same thing. PayPal has done what PayPal does, and enough is enough. So yeah, trying to find an alternative. But it's not the easiest thing at the moment.
Well, there is what is it? Stream Elements, which you have, Purple Valkyrie, which is again, this is awkward. It's weird, but if you want to super chat Purple Valkyrie, please use Stream Elements when she does it. What I can do is set up Stream Elements on this. You know, again, I nobody's getting rich making YouTube. I'll tell you that's okay. Like at all. I love having everybody as a member. I don't take it personally. These are hard financial times. Believe me. There's a lot of people going through a lot of stress right now. I know this show is meant to be entertainment, but also I want you to know you're not alone. You're not. And I don't take this stuff personally. We love having you as friends. You know, I will set something up where there's Stream Elements. So if you guys want to toss Purple and I a couple of bucks so I can take her out for a cocktail or, you know, to Chick-fil-A, this woman, when she's at Chick-fil-A, she can do some damage. We'll say that. But, you know, would do that.
I love those waffle fries.
I know. She's a Chick-fil-A eating machine. Yeah. And Lord thought, look, we've got Canada. I used to love going up there. I don't know. I think they'll let me in now, even though I'm a pureblood. They don't like purebloods. Daniel says, I was happy to hear the Foundation ripoff of Asimov's work was on Apple TV because at least no one would ever see it. We actually covered that in the Tuesday show, like February or March. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
There was one other thing that I wanted to say. Big thank you to Daniel as well, because we couldn't grab it before it came in. Because we weren't live, but he sent us a super chat, so thank you, Daniel. He sent us $5. He says, haven't been working for the weekend, I've been working for the Purple Valkyrie reveal. Well, thank you. I hope it was worth it. much appreciated. Thank you, Daniel.
She hopes it's worth it. Look at this woman. She is hopelessly, well, actually, no, you are very, we're all very hard on ourselves. Purple Valkyrie, you're fun, you're smart, you're fair, you're honest, you do research, you make consistently good content, and you're also, in my opinion, because I am a designated representative of the toxic manhood patriarchy club, you are also a very beautiful woman. So thank you very, very, very much for following through up on that. And Darius Munchausen drops us in. He gives us a salt shaker for $149. Thank you very much. Now, my friend, if you will send me a super sticker for lime and tequila, then we'll have a party. No, thank you very much, Darius. I love getting stickers. John Platt says the government are covering up so much more of these extraterrestrial human encounters than we know about. We need disclosure now. Well, it's true. We do. That's why we referred to that movie called Unacknowledged. Unacknowledged. Yeah. Check it out. It's free on Amazon. Give that one a look. Also, someone I have an immense amount of respect for and hope to see at the next Bigfoot conference in the Pacific Northwest, because I am going this year because I want to go to those things. Nice. Is, of course, David Paulides, the Missing 411 Project. Mr. Paulides, If you have not seen his Missing movies, Missing 411 and Missing 411 The Hunted, please, they are free either on YouTube or Amazon. Give them a look. Mr. Politis does exceptionally good work. He is releasing a new movie. It's been years, of course, after the death of his son. It was quite tragic. It's 411, The UFO Connection. I believe that premieres in mid to late November, and I think that's going to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then I think available on Amazon. So very much looking forward to that. Sagrian knows you very well. She says, Purple Valkyrie's bar tab, the mind reels. Well, in Dallas, let me tell you what. Yeah, Max still owes us. Max.
True story. He does.
Max. We love Max. But
We do. We love Max.
we love
Max is
Max.
awesome.
Dempsey, hail to you. And this is a guy who's got a new album coming out. Please feel free to drop that link in chat. Mods, if it doesn't go through, please let it. But he says, does anyone think that there are actual civilizations that are +2 on the Kardashev scale? Why not? Why not? I mean, if there isn't now, there probably was before. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We get, not to quote Doctor Who, but it gets a little weird, timey-wimey, dimensional, how time works in gravity, because gravity plays a lot more of an effect on time and dimension and dimensional space than I think what a lot of people realize. And again, I am not an astrophysicist, nor do I play one on television, but it's fascinating because gravity seems to have a hell of a lot more of effect on things, including the flow of time, than was previously thought. You know what else is interesting is that the lab leak theory is not a theory. It actually happened, and a lot of us got demonetized and tossed off social media for that. But that's not this kind of show. Let's go ahead and look at something fun. Let's look at something fun. Now, you know I'm a weird cat, right? So you know what's fun to me? Talking about vampire autopsies. Here we go. I put it out on social media. And look here, we've got Dempsey saying he loves your costume, Purple Valkyrie.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Really do. Hail to Stephen Ransoms. He says, chat, Salty Purple, just passing through. Can't wait for your War of the World show. Enjoy. So I will do this real quick. The link is up. We did the final QA last night. It will debut Halloween morning at 11 a.m. Central. It has runtime of about an hour. About 20 people, voice talents, were involved in this, on screen, in your ears, also somewhat in the background. My brother jumped in to fill a role for somebody who was overbooked, but will work with us next time. So you will hear my brother and see if you can see who he is in our voice cast. But I am exceptionally proud of this. This is one of the finest things I've done. I've spent the last 2.5 years learning how to do this because I don't do this for a living. And we don't need Hollywood. They need us. So I hope everybody really enjoys this. This is, I ran it past a lot of people, and I think you're really going to like what we've done. So yeah, Halloween, 11 a.m., hour runtime. If you go to the link, if it's on my channel, you will see a promo, which I didn't release as a separate video, with the last scene or the last audio sample that will be released before the premiere, again, 11 a.m. Central Time on Halloween morning. Resurrection Mary Ghost in Chicago. It's true. What do we got here? Daniel Causing Trouble says, Salty is always telling these tall tales are Purple Valkyrie's exploits. You have not been hit, my friend, by a pissed off Purple Valkyrie. Real life vampire autopsies of the Victorian era. This is a brand new article, and it comes to us from atlasobscura.com. Great site. When medicine and folklore collide, strange things happen. Yeah, that's not creepy. In March of 1892, Mercy Brown was removed from her family crypt, and we've talked about this before, in Rhode Island. Not in Slovakia, not in a Baltic state, But here in the United States in 1892, Mercy Brown was removed from her family crypt in Rhode Island and autopsied to discover if she was a vampire. When they first exhumed Mary Eliza Brown, who had died 8 years earlier of tuberculosis, they found her body partially mummified next to her eldest daughter, Mary Olive. She had died not long after her mother of the same disease, so they had tuberculosis. They both this woman and then her young daughter had been dead and buried for 8 years, but the wise village medical people in Rhode Island in 1892 decided to dig them up.
It was a slow evening in Rhode Island. What can I say?
So of the men on hand, now we know nothing about their sobriety. Mercy, the younger daughter's body seemed remarkably well preserved for a corpse that had been stuck in a hole in the ground for 8 years. And this, of course, was considered a sign of vampirism. Now, how many years ago was this? Let's think about this. This was about 120 years ago. Here in the United States, people still were thinking this way. Harold Metcalf, again, the Rhode Island medical examiner in 1892, was on call and performed an autopsy on the 8-year dead 19-year-old daughter that they pulled out in purple. If there's stuff going on in chat, feel free to, because I can't see it while we're rolling it. If you can just roll it up, I mean, go ahead and please throw those things up because I got to stay on this one. So this is a medical examiner with a PhD in 1892 in Rhode Island. He removed the dead 19-year-old girl's heart. Did I mention she'd been dead and buried for 8 years? Her heart, her liver, and judged them to be in their expected human condition, as well as the body overall. The natural process of death and decomposition had been slowed by the cold New England winters. Metcalf then sliced into the heart of this 19-year-old dead girl. And look at this. Look at that. This is not for Thanksgiving, folks. This is for exhuming vampires.
A heck of a kit.
Yeah. This is a vampire autopsy kit. And this is from the Mutter Museum, and it's from the College of Physicians in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania. This is a real thing. Now, this medical exam.
Seeing a lot of kits at the moment.
No, I want that for Christmas, Purple Valkyrie. Medical examiner Metcalf knew that the presence of clotted blood in the organ is a typical in this stage of decomposition of a body. He was not in the cemetery that day to find any evidence of vampirism, but to debunk the superstition that held sway in Rhode Island for decades. Now, again, we've talked about this in previous shows. For whatever reason, New England and Rhode Island in particular, they were convinced that there were vampires running around everywhere. There were multiple families who died of tuberculosis, and they blamed vampires for spreading that disease throughout the Rhode Island area. Again, Rhode Island is not a big state. It's really not. But by the late 19th century, scientists had discovered the bacterial origins of tuberculosis, which was called consumption. But popular wisdom of the crowds, stay 6 feet apart. Don't spread misinformation on 2020. That same wisdom held that the disease of tuberculosis was actually inherited and transmitted after death, and that the deceased could drain the life from their own relatives who survived them. It was not crazy. Ignorance, but desperation, which fueled the superstition. Yeah. This is just crazy. So again, this was an actual article. This was a headline. The vampire theory that's search for the spectral in the Exeter graves, not a Rhode Island tradition, but settled here. This originated in Europe, cremation of the heart of the sister of the consumptive brother. Look at this. They were doing this stuff not in the 1700s, but again, almost in the 20th century, which is absolutely insane.
That's
Then
crazy.
again, people think wearing napkins over your face stopped viruses for 2 years too. But I guess we can't throw stones, can we, Purple Valkyrie?
No, not at all. And we've talked about New England. Is this because of the population that came over and said there was a lot of Dutch settlers and they brought the stories with them?
Well, the Dutch primarily went to New York and upstate
Okay.
New York. When you're talking about Rhode Island, it was interesting. See, I know Rhode Island from having spent time there in the 90s before it got all the people left New York with all the money and drove all the housing prices up. There's actually some great working class communities and people like just normal people like in these cool little beach communities. But I think you had your Irish, your English. I think you had a lot of that. I know the Portuguese settled around there quite a bit as well. What the population was like from an ethnicity perspective in the 1890s, I can't speak to, but I would say it would be primarily, I would say Scotch, Irish, English. You know, if someone in chat knows better than me, I'm no historical ethnobiologist. So
but there is a strong connection with Irish and vampires as well. So that's an interesting angle. And speaking of vampires, we've got our favourite vampire, Nosferatu, is in the house.
Yes.
Good to see you. And it jumped on me. Sorry, guys, let me grab it.
Dude.
We have got the Late Late Horror Show. Great to see you.
Hey, Dino, we need to do this sometime. You guys, I say it every time Dino shows up. Check out the Late Late Horror Show. Subscribe to his channel. Dino, I probably listen to more than anything else on YouTube. And it's not because I don't love fellow creators. It's just the amount of hours that I will have on the old time radio shows that he has on, whether it's The Shadow, Sherlock Holmes, Johnny Dollar. All of those awesome shows because they're fantastic. And he's been running a series of fantastic radio programs around Halloween and ghost stories. And that's a lot of what drove me to do the War of the Worlds setup that I did and to do the radio play with so many people. Again, that premieres. I'm just going to hide under the comment. That premieres. It's all right. On Halloween, October 31st at 11 a.m. Purple, go ahead and take... Oh,
there we go. I'll take it down while you're talking.
No, I'm done. Put it back up.
Okay.
I want to see what Daniel has to say.
Daniel, thank you. Daniel says, I've lived in 8 different states, and yet I'm constantly flabbergasted by how many places Salty has experienced. Makes me feel like I've never been anywhere.
I'm not saying I'm in the witness protection program because that would violate the rules of the witness protection program, Daniel. Oh, shit. I said that. Let's see. What else do we got going on? Any other comments you want to call out, Purple?
Yes, let me say hey to Awesome One. Great to see you. And Tim's Talks. And I think Zax is in the house as well. Good to see you.
Hail, Zax. But yeah, let me finish up with the Late Late Horror Show. Dino, really good guy. Again, that's somebody else that's been hassled by YouTube quite a bit. There's a lot of that going on. It's just getting started, but by all means, you know what Dino does, what he makes, it's a really good thing. So hail to you, Dino. Thanks for doing what you do. It means a lot. So interestingly enough, you remember we were talking, Purple Valkyrie, about the Loch Ness Monster, and some guy had put like Wi-Fi webcams like on some house and was convinced that a garbage bag blowing by the river was the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, we saw that one little ripple go past. Yeah.
It was like, I'm startled. This is from this week, October 25th of 2022. 6th official Loch Ness Monster sighting of this year comes with photographic evidence. God, that's a good looking place.
Oh, it's beautiful. Loch Ness is lovely.
You have to share your pictures.
I will do. It's quite sad. A lot of the Scottish Highlands are. It's quite melancholy, but very beautiful.
I can do that. I can do melancholy if there's crazy castles and haunted stuff and, you know, bonny lasses. So 2022 so far has seen the lowest number of official Loch Ness Monster sightings since 2013, when the mysterious creature was spotted only once. What's crazy is that in 2021, 16 official sightings of the Loch Ness Monster was the second most recorded on the calendar since the register was created. Now, the sixth and most recent official sighting of the Loch Ness Monster occurred on October 11th of this year at 5:24 p.m. local time, and it was by a mother and daughter who were visiting from the east of Scotland. Does that have a name, Purple Valkyrie? The east of Scotland?
Not really. No, I'm trying to think where that would be. So I would have to see whereabouts that would be in the east, what they class as the east of Scotland, because I guess the north would be down by Edinburgh, Glasgow is further up, and then the higher you get into the Scottish Highlands.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping around because I'm trying to find this damn photo they're talking about, and I'm almost afraid to. Oh my! Do you know how many cookies I'm blocking? I'm blocking 180 cookies. Why does anybody need 180 cookies? I'm not going to let 180 cookies on my computer just so I can see probably a
blob.
A not picture. Yeah, a blob. Anyway.
Grace says it's called the Eastlands. There you go.
Oh, all right. It's called East Scotland. Yo, from the east side. So 200 yards off the bank. This is the mother and daughter from the east side of the Eastlands of Scotland. They said, we noticed a large break in the water, which was otherwise still and calm. As we watched, a black lump appeared out of the water and sat for approximately 30 seconds before disappearing again under the water. After another 30 seconds, the black lump resurfaced for a shorter amount of time before disappearing again. The lump appeared to be a boxy shape, about the size of a football.
I think it was one of those guys, that guy's camera probably fell in the water. That's what it was. It's the previous guy that we covered.
It did not appear to swim about. It just looked like a football. And here's my question. The size of a football, I'm guessing if they're from Scotland, that means a soccer ball, not an American football, because that's where my brain goes. It did not appear to swim about. Rather, it just bobbed up and down.
So about
yeah,
big
about
then.
this big. Yeah. And then it disappeared under the water before resurfacing a second time. The mother and daughter also captured the image of what they witnessed, which can be viewed here, and I will be showing you that in a moment once I validate that it is not completely idiotic. And Purple, vamp for me while I do this.
Late horror show, great to see you. And he says portals all over the world, and yes, there are large cave systems under Loch Ness.
Yes.
Yep, Assassin mentioned that as well. You guys are absolutely correct. Yep, they do. They lead out to the open ocean.
Dino, you're not wrong. There are places where the walls or the layers, I don't even think they're walls, but where the resonances are frayed, I believe, where things can cross over intentionally or unintentionally. Here, let's do this. Oh, I can't do that. It's why is Restream acting psycho? Go ahead and read that, Purple. No one can see me anyway.
Well. From John Platt, good to see you. Says, I've been listening to Dogman Encounters, me too, recently. Podcast on YouTube today. A guy from Yorkshire, England, brought a remote farm, and when he moved in, he began to be stalked by a female dogman. He sounded sincere. That's interesting. I have to check that one out. There's a lot of weirdness in Yorkshire.
That's where Az is, right?
It is, yes. Is up in Yorkshire.
That kind of explains everything. So I'm not saying Az is causing it. I'm just saying Az is crazy adjacent in a good way. We love Az. All right, I got the pictures. Of the soccer ball non-swimming Loch Ness Monster. So this is the 11th of October. We already read this. Now this is the stunning photo of a lump the size of a soccer ball, 200 yards offshore. I'm going to ask you, chat.
Yeah.
That ain't the Loch Ness Monster. I don't know what the hell that is. It could be a duck of some kind. It could be.
It could be an otter. It could be a seal. It could be some sort of fish.
Yeah. Not convinced. I am so not convinced this is the Loch Ness Monster. I'm disappointed. I am. I mean, I can accept that people mistake Bigfoot for Camilla Harris and vice versa. I can understand that. This one, I don't know. I don't see the Loch Ness Monster. I genuinely don't. I really, really don't.
No, and if they could see this thing so clearly, I really wish you'd zoomed in. I mean, 200 yards isn't that far if you've got a decent enough camera in either your phone or a handheld camera to zoom in on something properly. And Nosferatu said, "Did Purple say otter?" Yes, I did.
Otter. Did she utter otter? Did you utter otter, Purple Valkyrie?
I did utter otter, indeed.
Tree fitty. About 350. South Park. Purple, did you have another article you wanted to cover, or shall I continue my...
You continue. I'll pull one up in a moment.
Okay. Purple, what is our poll looking like while I do this voodoo that I do moderately well?
Let's just have a look. So,
okay.
Still in the lead with 48%. We've got Kamala, who is working the midterm crowds. We've got a surprise coming in at 33%. Could be Bigfoot. People have changed their minds.
Okay.
And then coming in at third, it's some guy in a suit.
It's interesting. It is interesting. I agree. Once you see the footage in Purple, we should probably drop that link or something in chat, or I should post it up so that people who watch it on the replay can see it. Yeah. So what do I have pulled up? Oh, so check this thing out. Now, we keep doing this thing, and I always caution this again. I say this every episode, but there's a reason why. Werner von Braun, on his deathbed in 1973, I believe, warned that the future of humanity was being controlled and socially engineered thanks to a cabal of people who wanted to depopulate the earth and kind of wanted to have communism and really had a hard on to destroy the United States among Western civilization. On his deathbed, he said what they were going to do to make that happen was the Cold War with the Soviet Union. Then there would be the Star Wars putting weapons in space, which occurred under Reagan in the 80s. Then there would be a global war on terrorism, which we all know what happened in 2001. And then after that played out, the last card to be played to trick humanity into surrendering and giving up all of their freedom and to accept the rule of this unelected global cabal of child sniffers. That's about all I can say, who were friends of Jeff with the island, was a staged alien invasion. That they had figured this all out in the 50s. This was the way forward. This is Werner von Braun, the famed NASA scientist, the reason why the United States in their Saturn V rocket program actually got to the moon, or at least looked like it got to the moon. That's a whole other episode. But why I bring that up is because as Purple Valkyrie and I, we have been showing you for the last couple of weeks, they appear to be ramping up a narrative about all of these UFO sightings that seem to look the same way, which to me look like bullshit drones. It just looks like drones with lights on them, and ignoring other actual UFO evidence that goes back for decades. Here we are. This was just released. This article is from the 27th of October of this year, and the USS Nimitz crewman reports that they had an encounter with a huge triangle UFO in the 80s, 13 years before the famous Tic Tac speeding UFO video we're all familiar with. Interesting stuff. That's a cool picture. Actually,
that's a great picture.
That could be that could be Christmas lights if you don't wipe the lens off of your iPhone. If you've been eating hot wings. True.
But it is interesting, and Salt is absolutely right. And we've talked about this for these past couple of weeks, actually. Every time that there's a new sighting, and if you go on, if you just put in hashtag Twitter UFO, you will see lots and lots of videos, and they're all showing very, very similar things. It's the 3 crafts in the triangular formation that split apart, come back together, move from side to side, but it's the same pattern repeating over and over again at the moment. And people are saying, well, are these now drones? Are these fakes? Are they projections? People are questioning what's going on.
Look up event 201. Look up event 201. Look at what happened after that event. Now look at what's going on now. What could happen over there with the big booms? The big booms, and you all know what I'm talking about. And then what if they had the big boom thing all planned, and then the aliens came in and were trying. They needed to save us from ourselves because we're destroying the planet. We're destroying the planet because there's too many people, and they want us to eat bugs because we'll own nothing and like it. But they're aliens. And they're everywhere.
It's totally aliens, guys. Trust us. Yeah.
Yep. Doing this, you won't catch a thing. Got to stand 6 feet apart. If you don't follow the arrows the right way on the grocery store floor, you're killing grandma. Anyway, I will talk about this article a little bit more. So in 2004, several Navy pilots and crewmen of the USS Nimitz warship reported encountering what they called the Tic Tac UFOs, which they said broke the laws of physics. 15 years later, they obviously came forward. However, Tic Tac UFO incident of the Nimitz in 2004 was not the first time that this famed ship had a run-in with the unexplainable. USS Nimitz crewman Kevin Thomas spoke on Quest TV about a huge triangle UFO encounter he had in 1991. I was 21 years old, and we didn't have the internet really then. We didn't. We kind of had some half-ass thing where you stuck a phone in a cradle. I mean, we had a Mac, the box. What the hell did they call that damn thing? The green monochrome Mac that was like this big white box, and we used to play Risk on it, and that was living large. But that was 10 years earlier than the Tic Tac sighting. And this guy said it was dark, so the ship went dark. And when a ship is dark, everything gets turned off. There's no light anywhere. And they were, of course, at sea. And he says that's when he saw something. He says he will never forget when he went outside to watch the sunset after his shift ended. Quote, when I went to open up the bulkhead, it was locked. So I figured no big deal. I'll just ride it out here. So I found my way to the starboard side of the ship and looked around the corner, and there was something about halfway out of the water. It looked like a huge black triangle. I would estimate it was bigger than the Nimitz.
Wow.
And 200 yards away. It was big, and I kind of froze. I have this image of it looking like this clean, dark thing sitting there with no water dripping off of it, but emerging from the ocean.
That's weird. So is he implying that it was hot, or that there was a shield around it so there wasn't any water touching it?
Don't know. This is a fascinating account. Thomas said that the triangle UFO made absolutely no sound. So it doesn't seem to be having, if this event happened, it's a very large ship that doesn't seem to interact in physics the way we understand it. So water would be dripping off of something that it was submerged in. However, it also raised out of the water where there was no sound in the ocean. Now, this is something the size of the USS Nimitz, which is a very large United States warship. Interesting. I had never heard of this account until this article.
No, I haven't heard of this one either. This is fascinating, and it's very interesting to hear from this account being so far back, relatively far back, talking about how there's no sound. And that's what we're hearing as well at the moment from people who are having encounters. It's absolutely silent when they see these things.
So this crewman, Kevin Thomas, says after his UFO encounter and him reporting it to his superiors, he was visited by two men were not in uniform. The next day, he says he was at his duty station when two guys came to see him. He said, quote, "I had a feeling at the moment, my heart kind of stopped like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I think that maybe I thought I saw something I wasn't supposed to see, and I'm going to get into a lot of trouble." The two men were not in uniform, just civilian clothes. They wanted to know why he was outside and not in his quarters after the ship went dark, and, quote, kept asking over and over in different ways what he saw, if anything. Says he didn't tell them what he witnessed because he was afraid he would get kicked out of the military if he did.
Smart.
It wasn't until the Tic Tac UFO footage came out that he felt like he could actually say something about the triangle UFO he witnessed while on board the Nimitz. Now, of course, that you can watch this video on YouTube. It's USS Nimitz Witness tells his story for the first time. This is a guy who's probably just a touch older than I am. But yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And of course, in 2020, it was reported by the debrief that the Pentagon had in its possession a clear photograph of a very large triangle, black triangle UFO rising out of the ocean. The photo, which the Pentagon has not confirmed exists, was allegedly taken from outside the cockpit of an FA-18 by a pilot. Officials who read the report said it primarily focused on, quote, unidentified submersible phenomena, or USPs, or unidentified there's the word.
There's that word again.
Trans-medium vehicles capable of operating both underwater and in the air. I encourage you to do your own research, take a look at that interview. I think it's actually pretty darn good, and I think it's fairly persuasive. It is interesting with a lot of these guys. I mean, the Navy in 1991 is a very different place than it is now. Yeah, that does that surprise me? Does it surprise me that would have happened? Not really.
No, not really.
Yeah. Purple Valkyrie, we've been covering some awesome topics today. I love when we jump. What do you got? What do you got to share?
I will pull it up momentarily, but let me say hey to Abomination AJ. Great to see you. And to answer your question, great, yes, we do still sell Tic Tacs in the UK. Not a big fan of Tic Tacs, I've got to admit.
I used to like them.
Never really liked them.
I used to like the orange ones in the 70s. You know why? Because everything was orange. Your refrigerator, the stove, the carpet, the food you ate, it was orange. Or it was avocado green. The stove,
yeah.
the refrigerator, the food you ate was avocado green. If you weren't born in the 70s, did you miss out? I don't know. But if you weren't around the 80s, you missed out. 70s kind of sucked almost as bad as now, to a degree. Anyway, Purple, what do you got?
Well, since it is Halloween, I thought that I would delve into a couple of the 9 Halloween tales and traditions. So get a little backstory of some of the things that we do and why we do them, if that's okay. So
you don't have to ask permission. You can do whatever you want in that amazing Valkyrie outfit.
So this actually ties into what Salty was talking about earlier. So the fear of vampires was spawned by consumption, which we didn't actually discuss this beforehand. So I didn't know that he was going to be talking about this. And I love it when we have this
ESP.
kind of crossover.
ESP.
That's what it is. So, as he correctly said earlier, during the 19th century, the spread of tuberculosis or consumption claimed the lives of entire families in Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, and other parts of New England. There we go. So, as you said, ties in with exactly what we were saying, and the fact that they dug these corpses up and were a little bit suspicious as to why they look so fresh. They immediately jumped to vampirism, which I think is fascinating.
I remember in one of these stories, they cooked the heart.
Yes, I think it was
of this woman who died.
Yeah.
Okay, not freshly dead, not freshly dead. They cut it out, dissected it, then cooked the heart and fed it to the surviving sibling, who then proceeded to die, which was only further proof that it was vampires.
Yes, the vampires got him. It had nothing at all to do with eating,
It's like
contaminated flesh.
the same shit they did with monkeypox. Where did that one go? Holy shit, that was totally a marketing fail, you guys. That just was like gone. It was like, all right, I'm gonna shut up, Purple Valkyrie. Go ahead.
But I love the whole vampire New England connection, and we've gone through it quite a few times, and we found some fascinating stories. But the next one is why witches fly on brooms. No, I've heard a few different stories, but it says the evil green-skinned witch flying on her magic broomstick may be a Halloween icon and a well-worn stereotype, but the actual history behind how witches came to be associated with such a everyday household object is anything but dull. So the earliest known image of witches on brooms dates from 1451, when two illustrations appeared in the French poet Martin Lefranc's manuscript Les Chapons des Dames, or Defender of the Ladies.
Je m'appelle Corey. Donne-moi le long les bonnes filles.
Defender of Ladies is a great band name. That's awesome. So
it says anybody know what I just said? Anybody from Quebec? Quebecois? Go ahead, Purple.
I just translated what you said.
Quebec. I know. Donne-moi la langue les bonnes filles.
The association between witches and brooms may have its roots in a pagan fertility ritual, because most of them did, in which rural farmers would leap and dance astride poles, pitchforks, or brooms. I would go with the broom over the pitchfork, just saying, in the light of a full moon to encourage the growth of their crops and probably other things as well.
I saw that in Eastern Europe. In Eastern Europe. They still had those poles, which were an important part of ceremonies, births, weddings, and death. The maypole. Its significance is primarily associated with paganism. Its true origin is really a question, but it is fascinating. It is fascinating. And if there are any hot, sexy witches out there and you need a pole to hop on, I'll help you out.
Got you covered. But it says this broomstick dance became confused with common accounts of witches flying through the night on their way to orgies and other illicit meetings. So it seems like witches had a pretty fun time of it.
Ladies, if you look,
I love it.
Witches, if you need a pole, go ahead, Purple.
I'm just going to leave that hanging there for just a little while.
It is hanging. If you need a pole, witches, come and check me out.
The next one is why haunted houses opened during the Great Depression. Now, a lot went on in the Great Depression. I can't imagine that people were that, bothered about going to haunted houses. But it says in the period leading up to the Great Depression, Halloween had become a time when young men could blow off steam and cause mischief. Indeed.
That hasn't changed. I'm one of those young men who still likes to blow things off and cause mischief, in case you haven't noticed. And it's not my fault, Nosferatu the vampire. You have Lady Marmalade stuck in your head. You can't blame me for everything, just most things. That's what the hell are you doing, Zax? I don't even know. We're kind of live on a show. What do you want me to do here? You want a poll? No, dude. No. Girl, witches, like girls born without a penis, witches. That's who I'm offering it to. Sorry, go ahead.
Just to clear that up. So it says, sometimes they went too far. In 1933, parents were outraged when hundreds of teenage boys flipped over cars, sawed off telephone poles, and engaged in other acts of vandalism across the country. That is pretty hardcore.
We did some pretty crazy shit in the 80s. I'll just say that. But
did you flip cars over though? I mean, wow.
No,
this was in the 1930s. No. These cars were enormous.
They kind of were. I mean, it was also the Great Depression. Nobody was really getting laid a lot then either. So, I guess better than
take your frustrations out on the. Okay, all right. I'm not going to judge.
I'm okay with this. Yeah.
So people began to refer to the yearly holiday as Black Halloween, similar to the way they referred to the stock market crash 4 years earlier as Black Tuesday. Rather than banning the holiday, as some demanded, many communities began organising Halloween activities and haunted houses to keep relentless would-be pranksters occupied.
Okay,
Now, I
that makes
don't
sense.
know
That
whether
makes
that
sense.
works, but I think that's a little bit of a stretch, perhaps.
I think it helps. I do wonder what the difference is with Detroit. Now again, not Detroit over the last 20 years, but even Detroit from my childhood, where they would have what was it, Hell Night, where they just
Devil's
started
Night.
burning Devil's
Yeah.
Night. They're just burning the goddamn town down, and this was going back to the 70s. And so I think some of that tradition stayed there. I believe there are other cities where that occurred too. Now they just call that peacefully protesting, and if you don't like it, you're a bigot.
Exactly. Mostly peaceful fires, indeed. This one I did actually know about, and I think we've talked about this as well. So jack-o'-lanterns and the legend of Stingy Jack.
It's
Now,
it's Stinky Jack after the pumpkin has been on the front porch for 2 weeks. Stinky Jack, but in the beginning, it's stingy.
Stingy. Now, this is an Irish myth, which I'm familiar with. I've heard this before, about a man named Stingy Jack. He is believed to have led the tradition of carving scary faces into gourds. Now, we didn't have pumpkins. We've never had them over here. It's not something that ever grew. So what was used over here was actually turnips. And if anyone's ever seen a hollowed out carved turnip, they're actually horrific. They're far worse than pumpkins. Pumpkins
Oh,
are
ladies.
happy.
Yeah. And they're big. We know what the ladies like here in America. You know what I mean? They big. They got veins in it. They have some cool bulges. There's this big thing that sticks out of the top. Go ahead. Sorry. I'll shut up.
My mind wandered. I'm sorry. I'm back. So according to the legend, Jack tricked the devil into paying for his drink and then traps him in the form of a coin. The devil then eventually takes revenge, and Jack ends up roaming the earth for all eternity without a place between heaven or hell. So he was basically stuck in purgatory. And Jack does, however, have a lighted coal, which he placed inside a carved turnip, creating the first jack-o'-lantern. So the moral of that story is don't be a dick. Don't make bets with the devil.
I love carving pumpkins. I absolutely love carving pumpkins, and I've tried different styles. I've gotten over the years. I've got those stencils where you can try and make these ornate scenes, in silhouette of castles or Dracula or one moment, please, or Frankenstein, and they're cool, right? But I still go back to the old school Charlie Brown, pencil on the back of the head, like spooky jack-o'-lantern with the eyes, the nose, and the crookedy smile. I love that. There's something very sedate about that. Not to mention, I love roasting pumpkin seeds. That is like one of my favorite things. I mean, I will eat way too many pumpkin seeds. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns, and I actually keep them. I've got a few, not real ones, obviously, but I keep them out all year round as decor because they just make me happy. I just really, really love the aesthetic of pumpkins.
I need to correct Nosferatu. You don't. I appreciate the vote of confidence, but it's just salty Texas C. It's not Jesus salty. So, but thank you. And then we have Blaine's Escape Corner, another voice talent that is in the War of the Worlds, generously lent his time. Blaine has an exceptional voice. He has some fantastic takes on anime. He and Brandon, I think if you were trapped on a plane sitting between the two of them. Anyway, he has really great takes on anime. And I actually have a lot of respect for Blaine. Please check out his channel. He works very, very hard, class act, and is part of the War of the Worlds. Absolutely fantastic. When I told him I was doing it, he told me how excited he was because he used to listen to the radio show with his father. So many people have association with that program because it's about aliens invading from Mars. So again, debuting 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Halloween. morning. The awesome one says, Salty watched too much of Arwen last night. I didn't, actually, but I still have a poll in if you're a hot witch. Purple Valkyrie, please continue this article. I love this article.
The next one is Abraham Lincoln's ghost in the White House. Now, this is a story that I've heard quite a few times. So for years, presidents, first ladies, and guests and members of the White House staff have claimed to have either seen Abraham Lincoln or felt his presence. So the first person to have reported seeing Abraham Lincoln was Grace Coolidge, wife of Calvin Coolidge, and she stood in the she was at the window of the Oval Office, and he was there with his hands behind his back gazing out.
This is a very popular White House ghost, Purple Valkyrie. Like, I've heard about this ghost for years, and obviously Calvin Coolidge was president, I want to say about 100 years ago, but since then, there have been numerous presidents or visitors and people who have stayed in the bedrooms there who have reported seeing Lincoln's ghost. Of course, what happened with Abraham Lincoln? He died in a traumatic way. He was at Ford's Theater watching a play and was shot, as the story goes, by John Wilkes Booth. And of course, his wife was sitting next to him. So would it surprise me that his ghost haunts the White House? I don't think so. Purple Valkyrie, are you good? Are you back, or should I vamp for a little while?
No, you carry on. I just turned the camera off a little bit when I was
go ahead,
focused on this.
Okay, go ahead,
so
Purple.
The next one, it's a spirit photography, claims to capture ghosts on film. Now, this has been pretty much ever since we've had cameras, people have been trying to capture spirits, ghosts, whatever on film. So in the post-Civil War era, when many Americans were reeling from a loss, a photographer named William Mumler claimed to capture ghosts on film. Whilst taking self-portraits for practice, one of Mumler's prints came back with an unexplainable aberration, as you can see in the picture here. It says,
That's
although
weird.
he was quite alone in the room when the shot was taken, there also appeared to be a figure of, by his side, of a girl made of light. Mumler showed the photo to a spiritualist friend who told him the girl in the image was almost certainly a ghost. And then he became, because he was shrewd like that, he started business called Spirit Photography. So
that was a thing. That was a thing for a long time. In Purple Valkyrie, in the UK, you had the very famous fairy photographs, if I'm understanding it correctly, and some of that photography. We should do a show just talking about that, because there are people now who still believe in that, and I don't know what to think about it, but I'm kind of on the side of it's not real. But it was the same thing with this type of spirit photography.
It was, it was huge in Victorian times, and as you say, the idea that the fairy photos were incredibly popular, and a lot of very famous people were actually taken in, including the author of Sherlock Holmes, Conan Doyle.
Oh yeah, well, that's one of the things that Conan Doyle covered quite a bit, and it's something I wish he would have done with Sherlock Holmes, is having Sherlock Holmes debunk that. But of course, at the time, Conan Doyle, with a lot of the popular culture of that time, they were convinced this was real, with seances and Ouija boards and things along those lines. And you had Professor Challenger. If you haven't read, Conan Doyle did a lot more than just Sherlock Holmes. To me, it's some of his best stories, but Professor Challenger novels, short stories, are absolutely fantastic. He has an end of the world story, Professor Challenger. I would put it up against the War of the Worlds one, but it's very, very, very different. But it is fascinating. But if you're looking for a really good read, and these are in the public domain, you can download them to your Kindle or go out on eBay and buy the Professor Challenger stories of Conan Doyle in paperback form. But spirit photography. People really did believe this.
They
You know?
did, and it all falls into the, they were obsessed with the afterlife, and it kind of falls into the mediums and the seances and Ouija boards, and it was all kind of mixed up into that sort of thing. But spirit photography came first, and then later on, people learned how to kind of do tricks like pretending to have ectoplasm come out of them, or how to levitate tables and things like
Yeah.
that. It became a huge business.
I know. It's kind of like the same business of reusing footage from Lebanon or the Iraq War and claiming that it's going on in the Crimea now. Hello to Kerser St. Joseph, who says, hello, I cannot do that poll because I just arrived and it's weird. My poll is just fine. Thank you very much. If you can't vote in the thing on YouTube, I apologize for that. So
before we end, I will show the footage again, guys. So if anybody came in late, just so you know what we're voting on, I'll show it before we close out tonight, if that's okay with Salty. This one I got kind of excited about because we're actually huge fans of Sleepy Hollow, both the book and the animated Disney special. But it says Irving White writes The Legend of Sleepy Hollow after fleeing yellow fever. Now, this I kind of knew because where I live in the Midlands, he actually wrote Sleepy Hollow not far from where I am. So it says Washington Irving in 1820, his tale of a headless horseman who terrorizes the real-life village of Sleepy Hollow is considered one of America's first ghost stories. And one of its scariest.
It's a great read. It is a great read. Obviously, there have been numerous films made of this, numerous animations. My favorite is still, I think it's 1948 or 1949. Yep. It was done by Walt Disney as part of, what was it, Mr. Toad and some frog thing. It was part of a double feature of Mr. Toad and Mr. Frog. And then you had, what was it called? I think The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and it is narrated by Bing Crosby with absolutely fantastic and some truly timeless animation. It is it's tied with the Charlie Brown Halloween special as far as my favorite Halloween cartoon. But if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. It is the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Walt Disney, 1949, of course, narrated by the one and only Bing Crosby. Go ahead, Purple Valkyrie. Sorry.
Yes, and it really is beautiful. The animation is incredibly smooth because obviously it was all hand-drawn, and you can tell that Bing Crosby is just having an absolute blast singing these songs and narrating this story. Highly, highly recommend it, and perfect to watch for Halloween. But it says Irving may have drawn inspiration for this whilst a teenager in Tarrytown, New York. He moved to the area in 1798 to flee a yellow fever outbreak in New York.
It's an interesting part of the country. I've been through upstate New York. It's been a long time. Been a long time, but I used to teach in the Berkshires of Western Massachusetts. So invariably you end up going to upstate New York, and of course, if you want to get to Montreal in Quebec, where they speak Quebecois, when you can walk up to girls and go "Donne-moi les longues les bonnes filles," but it's the same type of a thing in Western Massachusetts, in that part of upstate New York. There was a large Dutch population, and that's actually very important to the story that he wrote. Of course, what is it? It's the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, directed by Tim Burton with Johnny Depp, which is a pretty damn good movie. And then, of course, the one and only, who plays the Headless Horseman again? What's his name?
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken plays the Headless Horseman. Christopher Walken, it's perfect. It's a perfect casting. If you haven't seen it and you're looking for a good Halloween flick, please check that out. Go ahead, Purple.
So it says just a little bit of background on the story. The story takes place in New York's village of Sleepy Hollow. A lanky newcomer and schoolmaster, Ichabod Crane, is chased by a headless horseman. In the tale, Irving weaves together actual locations and family names and a little bit of Revolutionary War history with pure imagination and fantasy. And as I said, it was actually written here in the Midlands at a place called Arden Hall, which isn't far from where I am. which is kind of cool. I love
How
having
the
that
hell
kind of
does
connection.
everything happen where you live? Tolkien was there. Tolkien drew inspiration from the Midlands with oh god, Sullohome Mill. Am I saying it incorrectly?
So yeah, you got it.
Something like that. I'm a Yank. What can I, I don't apologize. But yeah, I mean, and then you have Washington or Irving Washington Irving, doing his thing. You have so many things, and then of course Purple Valkyrie was hanging out in Stratford upon Avon last weekend. She's sending me pictures, and I'm like, what the hell? I mean, you're like, you get on a bus and you're like, oh yeah, Shakespeare was totally hanging here, and then she like walks across the street or whatever, and it's like, oh look, there's the two towers. Hello, I'm Purple Valkyrie. I'm so fabulous. It's crazy.
Yeah, Royal Shakespeare Company, just over there. There it is. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Purple.
No, you're right, and we are very, very lucky to have so much kind of history and so much amazing things that we can visit. And I've heard it said before, you don't really appreciate what you have around you. You think of travel and you think of going to far off places, but I think a lot of people don't really kind of realize how much amazing stuff they have right in their own backyard.
It's true. Why don't we steal away? Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Why don't we steal away into the night?
And I think this one is the last one. And this one, if anyone recognizes this house, it's a very, very famous house, of course. So horror movies inspired by real, in quotations, stories. So on November 13th, 1974, 23-year-old Ronald Butch Defoe Jr. Took out his entire family in their sleep. A year later, the Lutz family purchased the house in Amityville, New York, where the horror took place. George and Kathy Lutz then claimed they experienced shocking paranormal phenomenon in the house. Green slime oozing from the walls, a creature with red eyes, looking at them from the window outside. And bearing in mind this was reported from the second story window, and multiple family members levitating from their beds. Any one of those, I would have been out the door, quite frankly.
Yeah, what more do you need? I mean, really, it's one of those things where, Jesus Christ, but the turkey floated off the table into the other room. Well, it's probably nothing. And it's like, no, I'm already in the car, adjusting the radio station and looking out my back window. And if you're not in it with me, it's called natural selection. It's called natural selection. And if I'm not mistaken, Purple Valkyrie, weren't there those New England-based paranormal investigators that also did the investigation for that Annabelle doll were also involved in this? What was the name of that couple? I forgot.
They were indeed, yeah. So that was, oh God, the name's gone right out of my head. It was
the Jeffersons.
No. I'll look them up, but yeah, they are the paranormal investigators. Ed and Lorraine Warren, that was it.
Yes. Totally didn't remember that. Purple Valkyrie with the save.
With the save. I remembered the surname, but I couldn't remember the first names. But it was Ed and Lorraine. Yes, they were connected with this, like with so many others. But I will say, take the Amityville one with a big pinch of salt, because although the first part of this story is correct about the initial family, the claims that the Lutz family have come up with, their stories have changed considerably over the years, and most people think that it was just a massive hoax, and they just they wanted the money back for the house. They made a huge mistake and realized that they bought a house that they couldn't afford,
and yet there were ghosts. So I don't know. Take a look at this one. This is from Daniel. Says maybe Purple Valkyrie is a focal point for the energy of all this cool stuff in the Midlands. Makes more sense to me than it just being a random occurrence. I don't know. You Purple Valkyrie, a lot of really cool things happen around you. A lot of cool things happen on your channel. I so glad you and I get to do woo talk about these things. You get to work with or all these other content creators get to work with you. You get to come on and be a great sport and do this makeup and look like a Valkyrie today and pull up these awesome articles. And you get to put up with me being a total. Oh, look, and she has an axe too. Don't F with Valkyrie. Don't F with the Valkyrie. But yeah, it's it's Halloween. This is a very important holiday to Purple Valkyrie. And
Mhm.
I have been lucky enough to watch a lot of horror movies with her, things that I normally wouldn't watch, to do a lot of research with her. And I'm really fortunate that I get to do this show with you. And I just want to say thank you, Purple Valkyrie. Thank you for doing the Woo
Thank
Woo
you.
show with me. And thank you for getting dressed up like this and not consider it being objectified or whatever it is. And putting up with me just generally being a lunatic, not to mention Gray, who doesn't like Dawkins, and Prophet of the Dragon, who also doesn't like Dawkins. Ooh, Mary Shelley. What do you got?
Yes, Mary Shelley. And Sir Joseph says, Purple's the best Valkyrie ever. Look, she's orange. I am orange. That is because my walls are orange. And
I tried.
It's
It's 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock
It
in the
is.
morning there. Okay. She's staying up to put up with me and my crazy rants and be charming and get all dressed up for us. So let's not forget she's not on America time. She's on that British Midlands time.
British time, indeed.
Mm.
GMT, which, as a reminder for anybody who is over this side, the clocks go back in less than an hour. So at 2 a.m., you've got to put the clocks back up. So you're going to be
if you're in the UK.
If you're in the UK, yes.
Purple Valkyrie has a TARDIS. I would trust her advisement on all things temporal. Purple Valkyrie, tell me about Mary Shelley.
Yes. So
wow.
This is our dear Mary Shelley, obviously author of the novel Frankenstein. So why did Mary Shelley carry her dead husband's heart around with her? Let's find out. Frankenstein author Mary Shelley is well renowned for her terrifying fiction, but few know that she had a dark secret of her own. Shelley's husband, Percy, drowned at the young age of 29 when his boat was caught in a storm in July 1822. Percy's body and those of his fellow sailors were found 10 days later. That's not good. Percy, Shelley, and the others were cremated, but Shelley's heart did not burn.
Don't go breaking my heart. Don't go breaking my heart. Sorry, go ahead.
It says, perhaps due to a bout of tuberculosis, there's our friend tuberculosis again, that he had early in life. Mary Shelley decided then to take ownership of her late husband's heart and is said to have carried it around in a silk bag.
I like that. That's dedication.
That's romantic. That's romance.
Isn't it romantic? Not really. It's kind of creepy and weird. But then again, we are talking about Mary Shelley.
Mm-hmm.
So
Indeed.
it makes a lot of sense. Oh, Purple Valkyrie. What a good Halloween show. I love that we just kind of walk in here with our articles and you show up looking smashing. And we'll do this one more time for the folks at home. There it is, Purple Valkyrie. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. She's looking like her Valkyrie self on request. I just want to say thank you for being a fantastic sport, Purple. You're absolutely incredible. Thank you for always bringing your A game to these shows that we do. And I'm seeing some disparaging comments about Dawkins. Dempsey, I have my eyes on you. I do.
The bad man from Dawkins.
And we've got Carcer St. Joseph says, I can't sing a lick to save a squirrel's life. Well, that doesn't sound good. But I'm sure with enough bourbon and the appropriate karaoke tune, we could have a really good time. Anyway.
Agreed.
What a great show today. What a great show. We've got 18 people in chat. Should we do one more article?
I think so, yes. Shall we do one more? And while you do that, let me pull up the video as well for later.
Absolutely. Let's do this. Why don't we show it again real quick, Purple Valkyrie, and then go out on this article. This is what the scent of a witch revealed about the ancient world. But for those people who want to vote in the poll, Purple, let's go ahead, kick that link to me, and we'll kick it up again. This has to do with Bigfoot footage, which was just posted on Facebook. If you, because there's never any actual misinformation on Facebook. Everything you see that's approved by Facebook is good. Purple Valkyrie, go ahead and let's do this. Yeah, go ahead and roll it again. There you are.
There we go. So, as I said, this is from a gentleman in Tennessee who claimed to be sitting on his back porch, and there's our friend, our alleged Bigfoot, just kind of hanging out in the background.
It's Camilla Harris. I'm still convinced it's Camilla Harris, guys.
Yes. But,
I mean, I could say something about knee pads, but I still think it's Camilla Harris. I really do.
I mean, it's a pretty good suit if it's a person in the suit. It's kind of hard because you can't judge the distance. You can't really, how tall this character is, and that's pretty much it. He just kind of jumped back and forth, and somebody said that it's kind of suspect that it's such a short clip. I agree, and it's also kind of weird that he cuts away and then cuts back. So, yeah, there you go.
John Platt isn't wrong. Speaking of weird and creepy stuff, didn't Angelina Jolie carry a vial of Billy Bob Thornton's blood on a chain around her neck?
She did.
Hollywood. Remember, they're the good ones. They're the good ones. We're the ones who need to eat bugs, live in pods, and not have electricity. Oh, and carbon credits. That's coming next. Purple Valkyrie, again, thank you so much for pulling up. That's what the poll is about here. If you haven't voted in the poll, please do. This is the Bigfoot video. It's going to take a lot to convince me this is not Camilla Harris, but I can be persuaded. I really can. She was back in the day. But even then she had those crazy eyes. Like, I wouldn't tell her my real name if I did it. You know what I mean?
She was
yeah, Carcer, St. Joseph, there's a poll in the YouTube chat. You just pull it down. You can vote on whether or not that was a legitimate Bigfoot article or not. My Bluetooth headphones are screaming in my ears because they're dying. So that's a sign for us to end the show. But we will talk about that on your next Woo show on Wednesday. We will lead with what the scent of a witch tells people. So we covered a lot of amazing things. Mr. Batsu nails it, says, get Fred, look, it's Bigfoot. Let me point the camera at it and see what I think. What the hell? That's pretty much it.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what he was saying as well. Bless him.
I'm not sure what Cop Mela is, but I do know I cannot make these jokes. I have to keep my channel. Until that War of the Worlds is released. Yeah, look at all this nut stuff. Nosferatu says John Platt and Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly drank drops of each other's bloods as well. Well, not only that, but they are taking the blood of people who concentrate in camps in China and are giving it to very old people to take the regenerative, youthful, healthy blood of those young people and put them in their old, decrepit, evil, very wealthy bodies because it really helps rejuvenate them. Everything old is new again. Everything old is new again.
Yes, it wasn't just a little of Bathroy doing that. Yes.
No, it was not. They're doing this, among other things. This was a great Halloween episode. I had a lot of fun. You look smashing. You're wonderful. Purple Valkyrie, what have you got going on? Tell people what you're going to be doing next.
Thank you, and thank you for the awesome teeth as well. I've never seen teeth do that, but guys, if you saw them, they glow in the dark, and I was very impressed. So thank you, Salty, and thank you for doing this today. I will be back tomorrow. There it is. There we go. I will be back tomorrow, and I am doing a retrospective about The Crow, one of my absolute favorite films of all time. I love the book, I love the film, and I thought it was appropriate for Halloween and the 30th of October. So that's what I'll be covering tomorrow. I need to check my time because, as I said, the time's changed, so I might have to move it forward or back, but it will be at 2 p.m. Central, which is 8 my time.
The times they are changing. I did Bob Dylan better than Bob Dylan does Bob Dylan now. Actually, probably since the 70s. Holy shit. There's a cautionary tale on drugs and alcohol and rock and roll. Let's take a look at the poll real quick. So we've got 28 votes, and this damn things are screaming in my ear. It's not a distraction at all. Camilla, working a midterms crowd, has 54% of the 28 votes. In second place, 25% say it could be Bigfoot.
Interesting.
In third place, 21% skeptics say it's some dude in a suit. So again, this very clearly, in all probability, Camilla Harris. And I don't get what the awesome one is doing. I'm not bald. It's hot. I'm working in the garage and I needed to get my hair out of the way because it's longer than it's been since I was in my late 20s, and raising hell. Look at this. We've got trouble in chat. I'm putting on my Obama shirt for Halloween. Well, it is his third term. So. Yeah. So what have I got going on? I have something really big going on, and that is the release of the War of the Worlds full cast radio play, full special effects passage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the link is out for the full radio play on my channel. It will debut Halloween morning, October 31st at 11 a.m. Central. And while I pray to God my Bluetooth headset does not die before I do this, I'm going to show you something that is the trailer of that video, but I wanted to do it here. I have worked my ass off on this. I really, really, really have. But so did everybody else. I'm very lucky, very fortunate to get to work with such talented people. You see all their channels. You know these people are amazing. We don't all agree. We are not an echo chamber. I am going to show you this. Am I missing anything? No, okay. I'm going to show you this real quick, and then we're going to say goodbye. But I want you all to have fun. Please take a moment to walk away from the news that's going on. And I just lost my Bluetooth headset, so I'm going to roll this thing, and here we go. Is there any audio?
No audio.
Okay. Yeah, this is screwed. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Go look at my channel, and I might sound weird because my Bluetooth headset's died. You guys have a fantastic Halloween. This is behind the scenes. This is what happens when you're using your backup Bluetooth headset. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you to all my channel members. Please watch the War of the Worlds. Not for me, although I did a pretty good job of directing and producing, but for all of the amazing voice talent. Thank you all very much. Purple Valkyrie, you look fantastic. Have a great Halloween. Have a great Halloween, everybody. Have a drink for me. If it's alcoholic, all the better. If you're not of that inclination, then please have a nice pumpkin pasty for me. You see what I did there? See y'all later. Happy Halloween.